had become Lord of Constantinople. I have heard a picture described wherein all the inhabitants of earth were drawn out in fear to stand the encounter of death. The feeble and decrepit fled. The warriors retreated, though they threatened even in flight. Wolves and lions and various monsters of the desert roared against him, while the grim unreality hovered shaking his spectral dart, a solitary but invisible assailant. Even so was it with the army of Greece. I am convinced that had the myriad troops of Asia come from over the Propontis and stood defenders of the Golden City, each and every Greek would have marched against the overwhelming numbers, and have devoted himself with patriotic fury for his country. But here no hedge of bayonets opposed itself, no death-dealing artillery, no formidable array of brave soldiers. The unguarded walls afforded easy entrance, the vacant palaces luxurious dwellings, but above the dome of St. Sophia the superstition saw pestilence and shrunk in trepidation from her influence. Raymond was actuated by far other feelings. He described the hill with a face beaming with triumph, and pointing with his sword to the gates, commanded his troops to down with those barricades, the only obstacles now to completest victory. The soldiers answered his cheerful words with aghast and awestruck looks. Instinctively they drew back, and Raymond rode in front of the lines. "By my sword I swear," he cried, "that no ambush or stratagem endangers you. The enemy is already vanquished. The pleasant places, the noble dwellings and spoil of the city are already yours. Force the gate. Enter and possess the seats of your ancestors, your own inheritance." An universal shudder and fearful whispering passed through the lines. Not a soldier moved. "Cowards!" exclaimed their general, exasperated. "Give me an hatchet. I alone will enter. I will plant your standard, and when you see it wave from yon highest minaret, you may gain courage and rally around it." One of the officers now came forward. "General," he said, "we neither fear the courage nor arms, the open attack nor secret ambush of the Moslems. We are ready to expose our breasts, exposed 10,000 times before, to the balls and scimitars of the infidels, and to fall gloriously for Greece. But we will not die in heaps, like dogs poisoned in summertime by the pestilential air of that city. We dare not go against the plague. A multitude of men are feeble and inert, without a voice, a leader. Give them that, and they regain the strength belonging to their numbers." Shouts from 1,000 voices now rent the air. The cry of applause became universal. Raymond saw the danger. He was willing to save his troops from the crime of disobedience, for he knew that contention once begun between the commander and his army, each act and word added to the weakness of the former, and bestowed power on the latter. He gave orders for the retreat to be sounded, and the regiment repaired in good order to the camp. I hastened to carry the intelligence of these strange proceedings to Perdita, and we were soon joined by Raymond. He looked gloomy and perturbed. My sister was struck by my narrative. "How beyond the imagination of man," she exclaimed, "are the decrees of heaven, wondrous and inexplicable!" "Foolish girl," cried Raymond angrily, "are you, like my valiant soldiers, panic-struck? What is there inexplicable, pray tell me, in so very natural an occurrence? Does not the plague rage each year in Istanbul? What wonder that this year, when, as we are told, its virulence is unexampled in Asia, that it should have occasioned double havoc in that city? What wonder then in time of siege, want, extreme heat, and drought, that it should make unaccustomed ravages? Less wonder far from it, that the garrison, despairing of being able to hold out longer, should take advantage of the negligence of our fleet to escape at once from siege and capture. It is not pestilence, by the God that lives. It is not either plague or impending danger that makes us, like birds in harvest time, terrified by a scarecrow. Abstain from the ready prey. It is base superstition, and thus the aim of the valiant is made the shuttlecock of fools, the worthy ambition of the high-souled, the plaything of these tamed hares. But yet Stamboul shall be ours, by my past labors, by torture and imprisonment suffered for them, by my victories, by my sword. I swear by my hopes of fame, by my former deserts, now awaiting their reward. I deeply vow, with these hands, to plant the cross on yonder mosque." "Dearest Raymond, interrupted Perdita in a supplicating accent. He had been walking to and fro in the marble halls of the Seraglio. His very lips were pale with rage, while quivering they shaped his angry words. His eyes shot fire, his gestures seemed restrained by their very vehemence. Perdita, he continued impatiently, I know what you say. I know that you love me, that you are good and gentle, but this is no woman's work, nor can a female heart guess at the hurricane which tears me. He seemed half afraid of his own violence, and suddenly quitted the hall. A look from Perdita shewed me her distress, and I followed him. He was pacing the garden. His passions were in a state of inconceivable turbulence. Am I forever, he cried, to be the sport of fortune? Must man, the heaven climber, be forever the victim of the crawling reptiles of his species? Were I as you, Lionel, looking forward to many years of life, to a succession of love-enlightened days, to refined enjoyments and fresh springing hopes, I might yield, and breaking my general's staff, seek repose in the glades of Windsor. But I am about to die. Nay, interrupt me not. Soon I shall die, from the many-peopled earth, from the sympathies of man, from the loved resorts of my youth, from the kindness of my friends, from the affection of my only beloved Perdita. I am about to be removed. Such is the will of fate, such the decree of the high ruler from whom there is no appeal, to whom I submit, but to lose all, to lose with life and love, glory also, it shall not be. I, and in a few brief years, all you, this panic-struck army, and all the population of fair Greece will no longer be. But other generations will arise, and ever and forever will continue to be made happier by our present acts, to be glorified by our valor. The prayer of my youth was to be one among those who render the pages of earth's history splendid, who exalt the race of man, and make this little globe a dwelling of the mighty. Alas for Raymond! The prayer of his youth is wasted, the hopes of his manhood are null. From my dungeon in yonder city I cried, soon I will be thy lord. When Evadne pronounced my death, I thought that the title of Victor of Constantinople would be written on my tomb, and I subdued all mortal fear. I stand before its vanquished walls, and dare not call myself a conqueror. So shall it not be. Did not Alexander leap from the walls of the city of the Oxydrace, to shew his coward troops the way to victory, encountering alone the sword of its defenders? Even so will I brave the plague, and though no man follow, I will plant the Grecian standard in the heights of St. Sophia. Reason came unavailing to such high-wrought feelings. In vain I shewed him, that when the winter came, the cold would dissipate the pestilential air, and restore courage to the Greeks. Talk not of other season than this, he cried. I have lived my last winter, and the date of this year, 2092, will be carved upon my tomb. Already do I see it, he continued, looking up mournfully, the bourne and precipitate edge of my existence, over which I plunge into the gloomy mystery of the life to come. I am prepared, so that I leave behind a trail of light, so radiant that my worst enemies cannot cloud it. I owe this to Greece, to you, to my surviving Perdita, and to myself, the victim of ambition. We were interrupted by an attendant who announced that the staff of Raymond was assembled in the council chamber. He requested me, in the meantime, to ride through the camp, and to observe and report to him the dispositions of the soldiers. He then left me. I had been excited to the utmost by the proceedings of the day, and now, more than ever, by the passionate language of Raymond. Alas for human reason! He accused the Greeks of superstition. What name did he give to the faith he lent to the predictions of Evadne? I passed from the palace of Sweet Waters to the plain on which the encampment lay, and found its inhabitants in commotion. The arrival of several with fresh stories of marvels from the fleet, the exaggerations bestowed on what was already known, tales of old prophecies, of fearful histories of whole regions which had been laid waste during the present year by pestilence, alarmed and occupied the troops. Discipline was lost. The army disbanded itself. Each individual, before a part of a great whole, moving only in unison with others, now became resolved into the unit nature had made him, and thought of himself only. They stole off at first by ones and twos, then in larger companies, until, unimpeded by the officers, whole battalions sought the road that led to Macedonia. About midnight I returned to the palace and sought Raymond. He was alone, and apparently composed. Such composure, at least, was his as is inspired by the resolve to adhere to a certain line of conduct. He heard my account of the self-dissolution of the army,